Thanks for joining us today. I'm Hannah from Dream Tech and Team People. I'm joined with some of our incredible roster of in-house teams and freelance network that we work with to support us on all of our creative projects. And we're here to talk about our paths into the creative industries, how we got there, trials and tribulations, and hopefully share some insight and some inspiration as part of Careers Week for Eric. Ollie,
hey.
I'd love to hear about your path into the creative industries.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name is Oliver Greaves. I'm based at Spotify via Dream Tech. And yeah, my entry into the industry started from college, I would say. I studied photography and drama, and I had an internal battle as to whether I should venture into a career in front of the camera or behind. And I thought I'd stick with behind because I gathered that there's probably more longevity, and I was fascinated by cameras as well. I loved how, the concept of the camera, I kind of saw it as a time machine, creating memories and how you can manipulate photos and things like that with Photoshop and things. And I was just like, yeah, I'll have a bit of that. So I love the camera. I actually remembered my dad's first camera, which is a Sony Handycam. I used to play around with that in the garden and make short films. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me combine the fundamentals of photography and apply it to film. So I went to study film and television at the University of Northampton. And we were the first cohort that was part of their course, really. And I loved it. We got on really well with our teachers, and it was my first kind of opportunity to have hands-on experience with professional equipment. And we were able to kind of book it outside of our classes as well. So I kind of ran up those opportunities to take cameras to events and, do some filming and photography and set up my own photo shoot and shoot music videos. And I just loved it. And I'm sure a lot of people watching can relate to working in group projects at school and college, as a lot of people kind of drop out. So you're kind of left to do a lot by yourself. And there was a few events where I was literally the camera operator, the soundie, the director, all at the same time. And I managed to interview quite, a lot of people, one of them being a woman who worked at MTV. She was quite high up there and she loved what I was doing, and she gave me her card. And I secured my first week experience at MTV Base. And yeah, it was great. I remember the first day I turned up, turned up in a suit thinking, that's what you do when you go to these corporate functions. But I stood out like a sore thumb because everyone was really chilled and relaxed. So yeah, day two, I kind of toned it down a bit. And I haven't really worn a suit to work since, but I really enjoyed it. And it gave me my first taste into the media industry and really secured, the fact that I'm in the right place. I was able to meet a fascinating amount of people and within the creative industry. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. At the same time, I was on my way to being a manager at Sainsbury's at quite a young age as well. So I had that opportunity, but I knew that my heart wasn't really in retail. Even though it was a great opportunity, great career path, I knew that I wanted to, remain in the media industry. So I prayed. It was like any opportunity I'd jump at. And I managed to secure a 10-week internship at CNN as an assistant producer, but I was technically a runner. I did a lot of roles from just booking locations to pets on scene and things like that. And anything from, watching, looking out for traffic wardens and making sure they don't give us any tickets for parking illegally on the side of the road. But yeah, all the way through to actually being in a lot of the commercials that we made and that got aired on CNN as well. So yeah, it really was kind of a baptism into the whole kind of industry, and I was so grateful for that experience. But it did stop at the 10 weeks. I was hoping that I would stay on after, and I was kind of like, what am I going to do now? So I applied for so many jobs, left, right and centre, and I thought, what can I do to make myself stand out? And all the projects that I did, I put them on like a DVD, so as well as my CV, when I turn up to interviews, I'd also have this DVD of like the work that I was doing outside of class. And they really liked it. And I managed to get a job at a small startup company, and I was their first creative person there. And one of my first tasks was to condense long form content into short shareable clips. So two of the titles that I remember working on was like Mr. Bean and Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares. And, you know, this is about 10 years ago, and I had created an eye for, you know, what would really get people talking, what would make people share this online from back then. So that really kind of helped me develop into, you know, the things that I'm doing today at Spotify too. So fast forwards, just to mention that startup company had a really close relationship with YouTube at the time, and they poured so much into training. So I got a few certifications on YouTube and things like that, and that helped me propel into actually a career with YouTube. I secured a job at YouTube and then went on to work at Google, and now I'm at Spotify, and I love it.
Segueing really, really nicely into Harry's journey into the creative industries, wheelhouse of content creation. I love your story. It's just so sweet. Tell us about your story.
Yeah, so kind of during high school, 12, 13 years ago, I didn't really like it. I wasn't very good at high school, wasn't very good at kind of academics or anything like that. So I just started teaching myself how to film videos. I loved filming, I loved taking photos, and I loved cooking. So I just started filming myself making recipe videos and posting them on Facebook. And I did that for about a year with no success at all, just a couple of views from, I think, my mum mainly. And then one day, kind of a couple of videos took off, and a magazine publisher back in Australia noticed and said, "Hey, can you make this content for us? Can we post this content?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. You're going to pay me for this content that I've been making for a year? You absolutely can." And so I started making a video about one a week for them. And then all those videos started getting more views than all their other content combined. And so I kind of suggested, hey, why don't we make our own Facebook page? I'll be a launch partner, I'll film and edit all of the videos. And so we did, and it became one of the biggest food brands in Australia. And I started making content for all their other brands as well, their fitness brands, their pet brands, beauty brands, all of that, all their kind of different magazines. And they were actually owned by a kind of a bigger company who also owned a TV network. And that TV network noticed those videos and said, "Hey, can you make these videos for kind of some of our TV shows? Can you take some of our TV content and cut it down so that we can post it on Facebook and Instagram?" And so it was kind of just building relationships kind of left, right and center during that time. And so I did that for about 6 or 7 years, and then decided to move to the UK because I got a bit sick of Australia and how small of a country it is, and kind of how little brands they have and companies they have. So I moved here and got a job 3 days after I moved here, mainly because of my CV. I kind of just sent it around, and then a social first publisher saw it and said, "Yes, we want to hire you. We want you to come in and help us create more TikTok and Instagram first content, because a lot of what we're doing is kind of Facebook orientated and YouTube orientated." And so yeah, I worked there for 2 years, just producing so much content for them, and then decided to go freelance. And yeah, kind of worked for lots of different UK brands, big brands like Sainsbury's and Tesco and all them. And then one day, someone from Dream Tech reached out and said, "Hey, can you kind of work for us and go into Meta and help them with social media content? We want brands to start making more of their own kind of short form content and posting it on Instagram. So can you help them do that?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely. That sounds amazing."
And so, Harry and Saran, your kind of pathways into how we're all working together, that overlapped a bit, because Saran, we've been working together for like over a year now, and we had you supporting some content creation, some workshopping, and that was super exciting. You're freelancing, and we work together a lot. I want to hear about how you got to where you are, and what you're up to in the freelance world.
Yeah, so my name is Saran. I'm currently working on Big Brother Late and Live as a production runner. And yeah, I really randomly, I studied international politics at uni, found it really interesting, loved it loads. But whilst I was studying, I did a lot of travel. and I really enjoyed like taking videos and pictures whilst I was out, and I was like, this is great. And then I was like, right, I need to buy a camera. I carried on just like making and taking pictures with no intention of making it a career. I just enjoyed it. And then after I graduated, I was telling one of my friends about this, and she was like, oh, you must apply for something called Mama Youth if you want to get a career in media. And I was like, wow, that's, you know, really a great idea. And so I applied for Mama Youth and then started working as an office runner, and I worked there for about 1.5 years. So I got to help out on various productions and just learnt bits and bobs here and there. And then I became freelance, and then Mama Youth put out a call for Dream Tech, and there was the workshopping days, and then there was the junior producer days earlier this year. And I was like, wow, that sounds great. Sounds like a bit of me. And so I applied for those, and yeah, had a great time. It was so interesting, and it was so great working with so many different crew members, hearing their stories, hearing about what inspires them. And yeah, it was altogether a great experience. It's really good.
And so in the freelance world, obviously there's peaks and troughs. Like how do you deal with the kind of the quieter times and feeling like, I can say that I think we probably have all dealt with a bit of imposter syndrome and thought like, oh my God, especially freelance background. I think you can probably speak to how you overcome that and those periods of trough and thinking like sticking at it.
It's tricky, because I would say the thing is when you have the troughs, it sounds bizarre, but to try and enjoy the downtime whilst you have it, because you don't know when you're going to have it again. And so I'd say that when I finished up on Drag Race, I was a little bit nervous about when something was going to come up. And then a month later, I worked on Celeb Big Brother Late and Live. And so when I knew that was coming, I was like, right, I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to, you know, do this random class that I wouldn't have the time to normally do. And I'm going to get a piercing, and then I'm going to start working. And then that's what I did. And then it was the same at the end of Big Brother. I was like, right, I'm going to go to Mexico again. I'm going to go to Paris. I'm going to see my friends. I'm going to do some random classes, then start at Dream Tech. So just kind of knowing the things that keep you engaged and happy outside of work is really helpful. And that kind of keeps you motivated and excited. And it also gives you interesting perspectives and takes when you do actually get on the job as well, because you might just have a random bit of knowledge from something, from some hobby that you've been engaging in that downtime.
And purpose in that downtime as well, like something to keep you busy. And I think one thing that I've always taken with me from freelancing is like every single thing is an opportunity, right? Whether it's an opportunity for a future project, or whether it's an opportunity to just learn a bit more about something that you can take into the next project. I started out freelancing, was working at a production studio freelancing, and by some chance our producer, who was producing, obviously, she was really unwell, and the owner of the studio was like, I don't really want her in front of the client. I'm going to need you to step in. And we were doing wardrobe. This was over Christmas. It was just before Christmas. We were doing a wardrobe briefing with someone who I was then able to work with again. And then when I finished uni, just by chance, I got sent an email that wasn't for me from this person. Contacted her back. Oh, hey, I'm just about to finish uni. Let me know if you've got anything come up. And then a week, 2 weeks later, big project, 7-week project, and I got offered a full-time job off the back of that. And I'm fortunate enough to work with that person still to this day. And so, yeah, I think making sure in those dry times that everything is still an opportunity, not losing faith, carrying on for a year, like really sticking at something, Nothing good comes free or fast. Thank you everyone for your time this evening. Thank you for your wonderful insights, your wonderful stories. I think we've all agreed that there is no one way to end up where we've ended up. And hopefully that has inspired you all to keep at it and just take every opportunity, and welcome to the wonderful creative industries, really. We'd love for you to get connected with us on socials at Team People. We'd love for you to reach out, any questions you have, and more importantly, get connected, expand our network, and meet all of you.